Hey guys, my name is Matimi0, and today I wanted to talk more about Battlefield 3, easily my favorite topic, and I know you guys really enjoyed it as well. And like I promised, I wanted to talk about more about the fact sheet that was released, I think about a week ago by DICE, that went over a lot of the aspects that are going to actually be in the game. And today I wanted to talk about the vehicle customization because there was a lot of great stuff here that I actually had to look up just to try to figure out what it actually meant. So I wanted to go over it today just to kind of give you a good idea of what might be in the game and kind of give my opinion and speculation on what these actually mean, because in the list it doesn't actually describe what each of these specializations are, so I'm just kind of giving my opinion on some of them. So yeah, let's get started. So it looks like there's going to be a lot of cool customization just for your actual ammunition, so you can kind of change how you want to fight the battle. So if there's a lot of tanks around and you just died and you realize you want to take a lot of those out, you're going to have that option of armor-piercing rounds, and you're also going to have the option, I think, to be more or get more bang for your buck for taking out infantry, which I think are called canister shells. I could be wrong on this, but it kind of gives that vibe when I looked it up. There's also guided shells, heat seeker missiles, guided missiles, and guided rockets. And I'm assuming the differences between the guided, all the different guided, is just different vehicles. So you're going to have, you know, your tank, your jets, and your helicopters, and they're just different names, but they do essentially the same thing. I'm not actually sure how these things are going to be guided and how the mechanics are going to work, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see when Battlefield 3, or hopefully they're going to be in the beta as well. So hopefully we'll figure that out shortly. There's also a couple optics on the vehicles, which are zoom optics, which are just like in Bad Company, where you have that option to zoom in and zoom out. And this is just for those players that want to play in a tank and snipe people from an extremely far distance. You're going to have that option. And there's also thermal optics, which will essentially, anything that has a heat signature is going to show up on your screen and show up like a sore thumb. So these are infantry units, tanks, jets, I'm assuming. And we actually get a glimpse of this in action in the Caspian Border trailer, where it looks like a helicopter is flying over a downed vehicle, and I'm assuming it's using the thermal optics because infantry units are showing up as white, and they really stick out. So I'm assuming that's going to be thermal optics in Battlefield 3. There's also some other cool stuff like the coaxial MG and the HMG. I'm not really sure what the difference between those two are, but they're essentially like in Bad Company 2, where you could have a mounted turret on your tank, and you can basically spray bullets at your enemy while your tank is reloading its main ammunition. So it's just another way to do some damage to your enemy. There is also something called the IR smoke, which I'm assuming is much like Battlefield Bad Company 2, where you have the option to kind of throw out a smoke screen really quickly to eliminate sight from your enemies, to kind of maybe repair your tank, maybe if there's some sort of tracer dart like in Bad Company 2 to get rid of that. I'm not really sure, but it's just going to be a more defensive tactic and specialization. There is also something called maintenance, which I'm assuming is going to increase the health regeneration on your tank, because there is actual health regeneration in Battlefield 3. It's kind of controversial. A lot of people don't really like it, but it looks like there's actually going to be a specialization that will maybe increase the rate, or maybe increase the time or decrease the time it takes for that regeneration to actually start. There's also something called the speed belt, which I'm assuming is just going to increase the speed at which your tank can move at. I don't really think it's anything different than that. There's also something called the autoloader, which in my opinion is kind of confusing, because I know in the trailer it looked like you could actually reload your ammunition, but this kind of gives me the idea that you may have to manually reload or hit like your reload button every single time you actually want to reload your main weapon. And this autoloader would just make that, you wouldn't have to do that anymore. So I'm not really sure what this autoloader specialization is. If you have any ideas or speculations on what it could be, let me know down below in the comments section below. And up next, there's something called the proximity scan, which may be something like in Bad Company 2, which it gives you a constant indication of enemies that are around your vehicle. They'll show up on your mini-map, and this just kind of gives you some information as to if someone's trying to run up and throw C4 on your tank, or lay down an anti-tank mine behind your tank. It's just kind of, more information for you. But it may also be something where you have to like press a button and then it scans, because that scan button kind of makes me feel like you actually have to press a button. I could be wrong, but I think that might be kind of where that specialization is heading. There is also something called the ATGM launcher, which I could be wrong. When I looked it up, there really wasn't a whole lot of information that I could find that was easily readable, I guess, if that makes any sense. But from what it looked like it was a anti-air launcher. So if you are in a tank that isn't equipped with a anti-air missiles, it will give you that option to maybe be an anti-ground and also anti-tank vehicle. So kind of like a all-around boss tank. So since I'm kind of running out of time, I'm going to leave a link down below in the description. So if you guys actually would like to check out this fact sheet, you're more than welcome to. But now I'm just going to kind of go over the specializations I thought were really cool and really interesting. So the ECM jammer is really cool, and what it allows you to do is if someone has a lock-on to your vehicle, you're going to be able to, I'm assuming, press a button, and it's going to send out this jamming device or something, and it's going to make it so that they no longer have a lock-on to your vehicle. So if you're in a jet, this is going to be really important because I'm assuming a lot of people are going to be gunning for you, and having this jammer is probably going to save your life more than once. There is also something called the TV missile, which I'm assuming is something much like in Battlefield 2, where if you were in the chopper gunner, you would have the option to kind of like shoot a rocket, and that rocket you would have a little camera in the front of it and actually guide it towards your target. So you would literally run into an enemy chopper or an enemy tank and take them out really quickly. And it was a really fun and cool way of using or playing the chopper gunner. So I think that's also a very cool addition to the game. There is also something called the below radar and the air radar for vehicles, and to be honest, I'm kind of confused as to how this is going to be used because on your minimap it's not really big, at least in the previous titles, and having a radar or having vehicles show up on your radar, I really don't see that being very useful because they're going to zip in and zip out really quickly, especially if they're an air vehicle. So not really sure how that's going to be used. So this about wraps up the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I would really appreciate it if you could give this video a rating, and if you would like to see more Battlefield 3 news, I'd recommend you check out my channel and subscribe, and also follow me on Twitter to be notified of new videos. But until next time, everyone, have a good one, and take it easy.